Well, hello again. This is the 2nd of January 2020, first vlog of the new year. I'm going to talk about the physical aspects of autism. I think it's something that tends to get neglected a lot. In the community we talk about how things feel to us. You see a lot of discussions about the joy of sort of stimming or in finding a new spin. You see a lot in sort of medical texts and the autism mums groups. Why is it always autism mums? Where are all the dads and grandparents? And I don't know. They tend to talk more about the kind of behaviours that make us difficult to raise as children, make us difficult to communicate with, from the outside looking in. But I do notice that there's not a lot out there about kind of physical signs, which I'm going to talk about today because they are sort of quite a big tell, I find, and they can get in some cases quite disabling. And I know when I was a child, one of the things that really made me stand out, from all my classmates, was that I was absolutely terrible at PE or any kind of, physical games, any sports or, anything to do with racing or climbing or anything like that. No, I could not do it. I was literally a long way behind everybody else. I had this kind of really slow, plodding, laborious kind of run. I still do, to be honest. I just don't have much reason to run anymore. It's like when I'm trying to catch my son, who is only 3, so he's only got little leggies, and I don't need to run very fast. And no one could understand why. Because I was a big, strong, healthy girl. Why could I not run like all the other kids? Why couldn't I climb on a climbing frame? What was wrong with me? I think it's one of those things as well that it sort of depends a lot on whether you're a girl or a boy, how it's perceived. I think because I was a girl, people thought I was sort of using that to try and get away with not trying very hard. I think probably if I was male, the assumption might have been that I was, they might have actually seen that as a sort of sign that there was, some sort of, well, if not developmental delay, then at least developmental difference. Oh, get down. And I think it is something that it has kind of followed me through life. This perception, even though I have kind of caught up in a lot of ways. As I say, there isn't really much need to run and climb and jump and, I do find I'm not interested in any kind of sort of physical exercise. Really. I see it as something that is just not for me. I'm still quite, maybe scarred is too strong a word, but I do still have this memory of being constantly the slowest kid in the class. Always the one at the playground who couldn't do what all the others were doing, who couldn't get to the top of the climbing frame, who couldn't do the monkey bars, who couldn't climb up a rope, and like that. I think it is kind of a psychological thing. Sports and activities and keep fit classes and things are things that just happen to other people. I don't know if that is something that anybody else really finds, but I could definitely understand it if they did. And apparently that is it's a sign. I mean, even as a baby, I was always not necessarily late in sort of standing up and rolling over and sitting up and walking and all this. But I was behind everyone else. I mean, my mum was sort of, she she told me much later that she was sort of vaguely concerned that I was doing everything just a month or two later than I should have been. And I didn't have the stepping reflex. She said that, she tried to hold me up to, when you hold a baby upright, they start moving their little feet as if they're trying to walk. She said I never did that. It's one of those just weirdly specific little things that make you stand out a bit. Make people wonder, what's going on with this one. And I know a lot of people. This isn't something that I have myself, but a lot of people as well do struggle with a lot, which is digestive issues. I mean, I did read a theory once that it was sort of a symptom of kind of anxiety and disordered eating and things that other things that we do suffer with. But I think that there is so much that is not not something that develops throughout life. I mean, I'm told a lot of autistic people have food intolerances, a much higher proportion of us, and allergies and things. I mean, how could that be down to, having a limited diet and stress levels and things? I mean, things like IBS, you can imagine, oh yeah, if someone's only been eating a certain kind of food for a long time, not getting enough nutrients or whatever because they have lots of severe food aversions, you can sort of see that, maybe that would affect the way their intestines work or something like that. But how does that give you an allergy or an intolerance? I mean, very, very, very weird. And how does your brain development give you an allergy or intolerance? I don't know. I mean, is it that we have sensory issues that make these things more obvious to us? An autistic person might be more inclined to just sort of grin and bear it and pretend it's not a problem, whereas we notice it a lot more. But you think you'd be aware of a food intolerance? You'd be aware that things were making you really sick? I don't know. Anyway, moving on. Interoception. This is sort of being aware of what your body is doing. I've sort of seen a lot of discussions about people's interoception experiences. That, again, it's one of those things that I didn't actually realise was a problem for me until I saw it listed as an autism symptom, and people sort of describing what it's like being an autistic child, or observing an autistic child with interoception issues. And it's things like not being aware that you are hungry or thirsty or cold. I mean, how is that? I used to, when I was a kid, remember people telling me I needed to eat or I needed a drink, or I was sitting somewhere really cold and I ought to be warmer. I was thinking, well, why? Why do I need to do these things? I actually remember the first time I noticed I felt cold. I was just sort of sitting in the house one day watching telly, and I was thinking, I've got a sort of funny feeling in my arms. I don't really know what it is. Is it just that I'm cold? I thought, yeah, I'm cold. Yeah, I sort of touched my arms and it sort of felt like touching some ice or something. I thought, oh, I'm really cold. And I was sort of 16, 17 at the time. And that was my first memory of actually knowing that I was too cold. I mean, I'd been too hot before. You know, I do struggle in the heat. I've always struggled in the heat. It makes me go very limp, very tired. Again, being hungry and thirsty. I remember being asked if I was hungry and thirsty and thinking, what do you mean? I don't know. I know. I suppose I could eat something if it was put in front of me, but I don't know. And again, I was at secondary school when I sort of noticed that I was starting to feel hungry. You know, there was like a pain in my stomach that went away when I ate something. I think, oh, that must be what it is. That must be what this hungry thing is. I remember a discussion on one of my groups once about needing the toilet and potty training children and things. And apparently, you know, a lot of autistic kids are difficult to potty train for a lot of different reasons. You know, things like resistance to change and sensory issues, and you know, all the usual things. But yeah, apparently, you know, well into childhood, even into the teens, there's a lot of people having issues with, you know, knowing when they need the toilet, or going too often, on feeling the need to go when they don't. I went through a phase when I was 8 of really feeling like I needed a wee about every hour or two. And I remember my teacher sort of mentioned it to my mum, said that this is something, you know, slightly worrying about your child, what's going on there. And my mum sort of told me off, and she made me sort of hold it for 2 hours. And that sort of cured it. I don't know, I found I could go for 2 hours without a wee. So I still don't understand what that was and why I felt that way, but I remember I was just sort of always dashing off to the loo, you know, in the middle of lessons. And I remember the teachers talking about it, and, you know, one of them saying to me, when you need to go, just go, don't bother asking, you know, you can just go. And, you know, other teachers sort of told me off for it, you know, what are you doing? Why are you always sneaking off to the loo? Like they thought I was putting it on for a joke. I did read a blog post once by a woman, you know, an adult woman who wore nappies. Because she had no idea when she needed a wee, you know, she just wore nappies. These things happen. These are aspects of autism for some people. Now, it is a kind of logical conclusion. You know, when you start studying things like interoception, executive dysfunction, awareness of sensations, you know, these things where we can be at one extreme or another. You know, sometimes all these sliding scales add up to, you know, never having any idea when you need the toilet, or when you need to eat, or when you need a drink, or when you need to put a jumper on. You know, as I say, these are things that I personally have learnt. I mean, later than everybody else, but yeah, I did learn these things. I mean, I still, you know, sometimes if I am busy, if I've got something on my mind, if I'm running around after my son all morning, I will not eat until dinner time. You know, but I still, you know, don't notice when I'm a little bit hungry until I'm absolutely starving. But it's not a major problem. I sort of eat reasonably healthily and everything. I have occasional bad eating days, but by and large, I have a reasonable diet. But it is a problem for some people. Even into adulthood. They still need someone to remind them to eat occasionally. We'll just talk a bit about the autistic accent. Because again, this is something that it's just not really talked about very often at all. But it's something that I really notice, when speaking to other autistic people, when listening to autistic vlogs. There is a definite twang to the voice. I mean, I am asked often if I went to private school or if I'm foreign or if I used to live somewhere else. And people sort of having a stab at my accent. Oh, are you from Leeds? Are you from Derby? Are you from Lincoln? And they're all sort of about 50 miles from where I'm actually from. I'm actually from South Yorkshire. But never had a particularly strong... this kind of... There's a tendency towards very clear diction, which I think can be mistaken for being a bit posh, or speaking English as a foreign language. You learnt it as an adult and you've sort of picked it up from various different sources. And I find as well, the grammatical rules. You speak. Oh, thank you, Zeb. My cat wants to get involved. You speak with quite correct grammar. Less colloquialisms. I always thought it was because I read a lot as a child and maybe learned to speak more from reading than from actual listening to people, or from watching telly, watching people who had maybe southern accents or American accents and picking up all these different sounds and sort of processing it and sort of taking in all these different sources much more than from neighbours and schoolmates and things, who I tended to not interact with on quite the same level. But I don't know, maybe it does just seem to be an autistic thing. Obviously some of us have a much stronger accent than others. But there's this sort of twang to it that I can't quite put my finger on. I've got a bit of a strain tone, as if you're really trying very hard to reach a particular pitch but missing it slightly. I don't know, maybe kind of adenoidal, maybe nasal sort of touch to it as well. Don't know why that would be. Can we sing? I don't know of any autistic singers. There probably are some. I mean, my singing is absolutely awful. My singing sounds like someone is torturing a cat. People think I am putting on a stupid voice for a laugh when I am doing my best to sing beautifully. No, I don't ask me to sing. You will regret it. Where was I? Where was I, Zeb? I did read once, just once, a list of autistic characteristics. Someone said, we're generally unusually big and strong. Especially as children, so that's not something I particularly noticed. I'm sort of tall. I'm very tall. I don't know that we're particularly big and strong. Yeah, I don't really know what to think about that. I haven't analysed that. But if you have an opinion, please put it in the comments. Are autistic people big and strong? Actually, if you have any opinions at all on anything I've said, please put it in the comments, because I'm interested. I'm genuinely interested in what other people have to say about the subjects I cover. I do this as a way of opening up discussion. I'm going to leave it there for now, because I'm very tired. It's like 11:30 or something, and I'm tired. Do we tire more easily than other people? I've never, been able to stay up much past midnight or so without us zonking out. I think tiredness is probably a thing. I don't know. Tell me what you think. I'm running out of steam now. I don't really know what I'm saying anymore. I'm just going blah, 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 blah. Just rambling. I think I've covered everything. I've covered movement and the autistic accent and the interoception. Walking. Did I call walking? Walking like an autistic. Some of us have a kind of particular gait. This is something I've noticed looking at, other the autistic people I know. There is I described, the way I run. It's kind of very stomp, 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 like I've got really heavy boots on. And I cannot run much faster than a walk, to be honest. It's very plodding. It's laborious. It's time consuming and energy consuming. I try and avoid it as much as possible. But yeah, we do have a certain walk. There is an autistic walk. It does affect motor skills. I'm told some people have issues with fine motor skills. They sort of find it difficult to write and draw and things. My handwriting's quite illegible. A lot of people have illegible handwriting. I don't know that that's necessarily an autistic thing. How do I describe the gait? The autistic walking. It's almost like a toddler. A toddler who's sort of only been walking a year or two and still sort of stomps a bit and yeah, but if anyone can do better than that, please pop it in the comments. How would you describe the autistic walk? I'm too tired. I'm just rambling now. I am just rambling. Gonna stop.